Mathematics Ordinary Level, Paper 2, 2022, Part 1. Before you start the question paper, it's very important that you go through all the instructions. Now, in the previous little, I went through all, but in this one, I'm just going to highlight for you a few important things. So, give the answers of the angles correct to 1 decimal place. So give the angle size to 1 decimal place. And for pi, either use your calculator, the symbol on your calculator, or the value 3,142. But I don't want to waste too much time going again through all the instructions, but it's very, very important that you tick it off and make sure you did everything before you start with the question paper. But let's start. Okay, now in this year, I decided I'm still going to give you a reference to my textbook where you can find that, but I'm not going to go to the textbook. What I want to put extra this year, I scanned in, or I have a copy of the examination report, and I rather want to spend the extra time showing you on the examination report what did the markers tell you after they marked the paper, because I want to put the highlight a little bit this year on that. Okay. Question 1. Now, it is sometimes, if you read the question, you're going to see its probability. Now, it's almost like if they start with a little bit of a difficult question, it can sometimes throw the students a little bit out. But please, don't let it happen. If you struggle with question 1, or you know you have problems with probability, then just leave question 1 and then first start with question 2. And then as soon as you build your confidence towards the end of the question paper, then you can always come back to question 1. Okay, but it's not a difficult probability question. And it's combined with numbers. So if you want to go and check it in the textbook, I will say go to page 4. I just want to get my pen correct. Page 4, you will find all the different numbers, prime numbers, cube numbers, and that. And then probability, that's part 1. And probability will find on page 6 to 7. So I'm going to just give you the reference to the pages. Okay. But let's start with the question. A bag contains 15 beads. Each bead is labeled with a different number from 1 to 15. A bead is chosen from the bag at random. So now you know its probability. Now, the first thing that you have to do is, even before you start with the question, go and write down all the values up to 15. It's just going to help you. So I'm just going, I don't want to do it on the side. I'm really going to try to fit in everything here. It's 12, 13, 14, and 15. Also, try not to write in this space. Okay, I should have just write it there under. Okay, but for now, I'm not going to redo that. So write down the probability that the chosen bead is a square number. So what you do is you must think, what is the square numbers? Its numbers multiply with itself. So it's like 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, and it's not there. So it's 1, and it's 4, and it's 9. So the probability for a square number, and I'm not going to write it out, but I can say probability squared, but I can just write down the fraction, and it's 3 over 50. In probability, they will accept if you don't approximate it. But if somebody approximates it to 1 over 5, then he will also be correct. Okay, let's go on. A prime number. Now, first think, what is a prime number? Prime numbers is having 2 factors, the number 1 and the number itself. Okay, but 1 is not a prime because it must have 2 different factors. So the first one is 2, and then it's 3. You can first write it down because you must memorize that for your first few. Not 4, but 5. Not 6, but 7. Not 8, not 9, because 9, the factors of 9 is 1, 3, 9. So not 9. 10, no. 11, yes. And then 13, yes. And again, I can go and highlight that. So if you want and you use a pencil, you don't use colors, just make then a difference figure around it. So 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. You can even just write it down. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 6 out of 15. Or if I simplify it, 2 over 3. 2 over 5. Sorry. So because 2 can go in 3 times. Okay, 6 over 15. No, it's over 15. So 3 can go in 2 times and 3 can go in 5 times. That will be correct. Okay. Now, the number divisible, a number divisible by 3. So it's almost like writing down the multiples of 3. Now, what will be the multiples of 3? The multiples of 3 will be 3, 6, 9, 15. So now I'm just going to go, okay, so this is going to be 3, 6, 9, 50. Okay, let's just see, count it. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Oh, I skipped 1, 12. That's why I realized there was one missing. 12 and 15. Did you see? I skipped that one. Okay, so it was basic better if you just jump the first one, the first one, the first one, the first one. So it was, if you was divisible by 3, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was 5 over 15. And again, 5 can go in 1, 5 can go in 3. That would be the answers. Okay. A number less than 9. Okay, so it's all the numbers less than 9. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's actually easy one. So it's 8 over 15, and I cannot simplify it further. Okay. A cube number. Now, what is cube numbers? Cube numbers is numbers multiplied by itself, by 3 times. So 1 times 1 times 1, it's 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And that will be too big. Do you follow? So in this case, it's just going to be 1 and 8. So it's just going to be 2 out of 15. Okay. And then a number that when double gives an even number, which is also a multiple of 5. Okay, so you must highlight just. This is a bit more tricky. Let me just make it in red. You must double it. Then it must give an even number, but it must be a multiple of 5. And that's why I was thinking, okay, you can test all. Okay, let's test it with this one. So if you say 1 and you double it, that's 2. But, okay, it's an even number, but it's not divisible by 5. The same with 2. It becomes 4, not divisible. If it goes to 3, it becomes 6, not divisible. 4, it becomes 8, not divisible by 5. So it must be a multiple of 5. But if you take 5 and you double it, you get 10, and that's divisible by 5. And the same, 6, 7, 8 will not work, but if you take again 10, if I take 10, so I took 5, I take 10. So if I double it, it's 20. You don't have to fit anymore. It must just be a multiple of 5, and it's working. And then I go on, 11, not 12, not 13, not 14, not, but 15. If I double 15, what do I get? I get 30, and that is divisible by 5. So how many are there? There are 3 out of 15, and that is 1 out of 5. That's so my personal opinion, bit of a difficult question due to the probability that's coming in, but it's very, very basic probability. Okay, now as I said, what do I want in this? I want now to show you the examination report. Okay, so let's just go to documents. And I want to show you what are they saying about the exam report. Okay. I'm going to make it bigger. So this year I want to really emphasize this report because some of you students didn't see it, and I think it's a good thing that you also see this. Okay. So you can read everything that they say here, and I'm maybe going to just underline. A better knowledge and understanding of mathematical concepts, terms, and definitions would help candidates to answer questions from the required perspective. For that reason, definitions, descriptions, and appropriate mathematical language and spelling should receive the necessary emphasis. Okay, so especially if you come to grade 11 phase, you must use the correct words and you must even know how to spell it. Okay, so for example, in question 6.8, some candidates seems not to know what a natural number is, and that all stands on page 4. So make sure you know that summary very well. Now, the general comments. Majority of learners attempt the whole paper well by answering all the questions. However, it was worrying to see many candidates not getting any mark throughout the paper. So I think it was in the newspapers that a lot of people got 0. So it's almost like you just gave up. So please don't do that. Even try, focus, not just leave it. Just even if you just get a few marks in life, you must always just try your best. Doesn't matter what the outcome will be. Okay, so the standard of presentation and amount of working was generally moderate. Centers should continue to encourage candidates show formula used, substitution made, and calculations performed. I don't know, it's a bit just, I just want to take this highlighter. So please show your working. As many as possible, you can get a mark. So candidates should greatly be encouraged to show their working, especially in questions with more than 1 mark, as some marks are usually for the method used as for correct substitution in the correct formula. So just by substituting it correctly, you could have get 1 mark. And that's why I say, don't give up, just try. So showing their work increases the candidate's chances of earning a mark, even if their final answer ends up being wrong. Very important, show your working. Premature rounding cost a lot of candidates marks in this paper. Candidates should be taught that only the final answer to the question should be rounded to the degree of accuracy required by the specific question, or a general correct to 3 significant figures, except for limits of accuracy. I just want to highlight this. So, except for limits of accuracy that must never be rounded. Very important. Also, always it's good to first write your full calculator display, and then in the final space do the approximation as they required, or 3 significant figures, angles, 1 decimal place. However, instead of rounding off their answers, candidates may also be encouraged to write down their full, you see, their full calculator display as their final answer. So it even means that in some cases, if you just write the full display, you will get the answer, even if you didn't round it off. That's what I understand. But be able to round off to 3 significant figures. Okay, then many candidates struggle to answer questions on probability and statistics correctly. And I think it's because it's the last chapter, but spend a little bit time, even on the basics ones. It seems as if since these are the last topics in the syllabus that some candidate centers did not cover them during teaching. Teachers should make the efforts necessary to teach the whole syllabus in full before candidates sit for their examination. So go for a few extra classes with your teacher, or watch online videos, use the channel, but make sure that you conquered all the topics. It's very important that that you take the responsibility also on yourself. This is why I created this channel, so that if there's something, your teacher becomes sick or anything happens, that you can have the drive to do what you can do to complete the whole syllabus and to make sure you understand. Okay, now this is why I'm showing you, because I want to show you, there's the answers also, but I want to show you the report and highlight a few things on the report. So this question combined the concept of numbers with probability. Although the whole question was well attempted, many candidates rather listed numbers instead of writing down the probability of the particular number type. So as I did, you can write in underneath the question the numbers, but at the end you must write it as a probability because that was what the question were. The whole of question 1 was otherwise well answered except for 1F. That was a bit a level 3 question, which was poorly answered, the last one. Candidates should be advised to leave their answers in fraction form instead. Very important. So you see, I left it in fraction form instead of converting to decimals, as they often round wrongly and not to the required 3 significant figures. So especially when it comes to probability, leave it as a vulgar fraction. Okay, and as I said, you can even leave it unsimplified. Okay, so every time I'm doing this, I'm coming back to the report and I just highlight a few things which I want you to take note of. Okay, now I'm going back to the question paper. Okay, that's question 1. Done. Okay, let's go to question 2. And it's again saying, Anna traveled from Marintal to Oshikuku. Okay. For the first 3 hours, she traveled at 120. And I like underlining always if that. So for the first 3, take your ruler, she traveled 120 kilometers per hour. I'm just going to use color so it stands out. For the next 6 hours, she traveled 110 kilometers per hour. Okay, what do you see? You do it in physical science also. What I see is DSTV. You know my little triangle? Yeah, I think you will find, and I will write again to you the page. It's on page, let me just get my pen correct. It's page 277. And don't forget your DST, because that's going to help you now. And can you remember? It's distance, speed, and time. So if it's 3 hours, it's the time they give. And if it's 120 kilometers per hour, it's the speed. So if I want to find the distance, I must say speed multiplied time. And this is coming from the grade 9, 8. I think even from the grade 8 syllabus. Okay. So assuming she did not stop on the way, find the total distance. So she's having a red part and she's having a green part. Okay, so let's just start with the red. So I can say the distance, 3 hours. For the first, I could have said first 3 hours, but it's not necessary. Okay, so don't forget that distance is equal to speed multiplied time. So what is the speed? It's 120 kilometers per hour. And what is her time? 3 hours. So that is going to give me 360 kilometers. Okay, I should have put it here, sorry. So 120 times 3, and that was 360 kilometers. Okay, unnecessary to write it twice. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. Okay, now I do the green. So the distance for the 6 hours, and it's again speed multiplied time. So what is the speed? It's 110. What is the time? 6. So if I multiply that, I get 660. So I'm ending the question by saying total distance is equal to 360 plus 660, and that is 1020, and that was the answer. And as I said, it's coming from grade 8, 9. I think it's not that difficult. Okay, so her average traveling speed. So don't forget that average speed is total distance, and you will see it there from the total distance. Remember, speed is distance divided by time. So total distance divided by total time. and the total distance is 1020, and the total time is the 6 plus the 3. So the total time is 9 hours. So if you take 120 and you divide it by 9, and now what they say is you can even write it in the space, but it's 113.3333. But if you, so first write down that full calculator display. There's actually a few more threes. But if I approximate, it's 1, 2, 3. That 3 makes that it's 130. But first write down your full calculator display. Okay. For me, it's important that you learn how to approximate to 3 significant figures, because I think when you go further in maths, it's very important that you cannot just write your full calculator display. You have to do what the instructions is telling you to do. Okay, but for the runner-up, just write everything and then approximate. I want to again, and this is what I'm doing again, I'm going to again take you to the report every time. And I just want to show you what is the report telling us. Okay, let's see if this was question 1. Okay, here comes question 2. Okay, so basically they said, although many candidates could score at least one mark, the question was poorly answered. Yeah. Many candidates did not realize that they had to multiply each given speed with its corresponding time before adding the two answers. Remember people that DSTV, distance, speed, time, that triangle. Candidates rather added the two speeds and multiplied by 9, leading to a common wrong answer of 2070 kilometers. Okay, so that was for me important that you know what the people in the question, and I'm just going to show you the last part, what they also show. Okay. So number B was well answered. Candidate understood that they had to divide their answer 2A by 9 to obtain. And I think they worked maybe with a mistake, but to get the average. So do you see? And it seems to me if you had that in your final answer, the 3, it was marked correctly. Okay. And there is the question. So let's go to the next question. Okay. The next one is question number 3. Okay. Now, yeah, I must say, to encounter probability again, but I think now it's going to the second level, especially in question B. Okay, so for students or learners that did not do probability, this was a big disadvantage, because now this is again a probability question. But as I said, if you see it's again probability, then the best will be just to skip 3 and first do 4 and finish the whole question paper and then come back to 3 and just try to do that. Okay. So let's start. Again, there's a very good example I want to, and it's in the textbook. If you go to my textbooks, the Y-equals in part 2, and you go to page 651, there is 2 examples that will reflect very nicely to this example. Okay, but let's start. Eric has 11 cards, very nice, written out, each with a letter on it. Okay, educational. He pick a card at random. Write down the probability that the chosen card is the letter N. So the best will be just to scratch. Where do you see? Go through all, it's only 1. So the probability will just be 1. And you can even go, they said 11 cards, but you can even go and count to see if it's 11, but it is 11. Okay. The letter A. Now, it's good to just go and say, okay, I see a A and I see a A. So it will be 2 out of 11. Very nice, because that's the final answer. It can even not simplify further. Okay, now be careful. It's so easy to skip the word not letter U. So you can first find the probability of U. If you want, you can first find the probability of U. Now, how many U's do you see? I just see 1. Do you see? But if they say not, you can even go and count it. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or you can say not you. Can you remember? It's where we say 1 minus 1 over 11. But doesn't matter. As long as you come to 10 over 11, you are correct. Okay. The letter D or the letter T. Now, the word or always say add. So, first go to the letter D. Now, how many D's were there? Now, if I look, I see only one D. Do you see? So, it's 1 out of 11. If I go and I see how many letters T are there. Now, again, I just see 1. So it's almost like I just add that 2 up, but my final answer will be 2 out of 11. Okay, but it's adding up. That's why it's a positive or addition in between. Okay, now number B. Now number B is again the tricky one. But remember, learners, teachers, whatever, it's very important that you realize all the learners that will continue with AS level is also sitting down for this paper. And it's very important that they also encounter for that students and make some of the questions really, really challenging so that only a certain percentage of learners will get it correct, and that will be almost a sign that you can continue to AS level. So I must say B is a bit more challenging, but let's try it. And again, you can go to the textbook on page 647. There you will see that. So you pick 2 cards at random. And this is what you will see, without replacement. So that means if you take one, he's not putting it back in the bag. Okay, and there it's explained, it's on 3 diagrams. This is now first the extended part of probability. So find the probability that are both the letter A. Now if you first, you don't have to draw the whole tree, but the probability for the letter A. Okay, now how many A's were there? Can you remember? 2 out of 11. Okay, so it was 2 out of 11. Okay, so if you go, that is the first draw. So in this case is now your first. Now let's draw that. I want to make a number. This is your first draw, first takeout. Then it's coming to the second takeout. Now, if they say again the letter A, and I can even, if you want, I can say probability not A. So the probability of not is going to be 9 out of 11. I'm not going to say the other letters, but you're not going to work with this branch. Now, the next time, if you say the probability of an A, and I should have wrote it here, and I think I'm going to. So just to, I want you to see good on the video. So the probability of an A was 2 out of 11. If I say the probability of not an A for the first row, then that would have been 9 out of 11. And as I said, this is the first time he's taking out a card. The second time, now if I make the tree again and I break it up, and again, they don't want all, they just want again the probability A. Now, if A was chosen in the first draw, there's not 2 cards anymore of A, there's only 1. But there's also not 11 cards anymore. 1 card is out, so there's only 10. Okay. So if you had to do, say, this probability not A, then you would have say 9 out of 10 for that one. And you could have completed further. But that's not, they only are interested in this part. So I'm just going to make a bit space here because I helped you now by writing it bigger for you there. So find the probability they are both letters A. So that is why it's meaning A, I didn't want to do that, A and then A again. So it's going to be 2 out of 11 multiply 1 out of 10. So can you remember, it stands very clear in the textbook, in the branches we multiply. If we work with more than one branch, we add up. Okay, and that's basically what I did here. And if I simplify, I could have get 2 over 110, and I could have simplified to 1 over 55. Okay, so let's just, I think both answer. We can now go and check if both is correct. It's 1 over 55. But I think if you wrote this, you will also be correct. But let's check the report. So in the report, we go back to the report. Okay, here it is. Okay, this was question. Can you see there? It was both of them would be correct. Let's just say what the report say. This question also tests the candidate's knowledge on probability. Part A was well answered. I agree. Very simple. However, part B was poorly answered. But as I said, that's more for your AS level students. Many candidates seems not to understand what without replacement. That means the card is, it's almost like a sweet. You eat the sweet and you don't replace it. Okay. Mean as they didn't change or decrease the total. Okay. And that was, but the best will be, as I showed you, to draw a tree and then see what branches they are using. Okay. I'm going to still do one question and then I'm stopping the video. I don't want to make the videos too long. I'd rather make more videos. Okay. On this paper. So let's just go back to the question paper. Okay, there. And the last question I'm doing on this is question 4. And it's always good, just read it, determine what topic they are asking, and then do the question. Now, the sides of a triangle are all given, and now if you see these words, given correct to 1 decimal point, you think limits of accuracy. And where do you find it in my textbook, part 1, page 32? Okay, can you remember what they said? Do not approximate, write the full calculator display. They said it in the report. Okay, so if it's significant figures, it's challenging. Decimal place, it's always 0,1 divide 2. So I'm always going to add or I'm going to subtract 0,05, 0,05. That's what I'm going to do. So I will now see. So I will basically do it to get this upper bound. I just see if I'm going to, and lower bound. To get this upper bound and this lower bound. To get this upper bound and this lower bound. Okay. But let's first see, don't work out all. Let's see what values we are going to use. So find the minimum area. Now first think, what is the area of a triangle? It's half base times height. And it must make, so this is the base. So I'm going to work with this one. And I'm going to work with, and this is the height. I'm going to work with this one. So basically, I can just go and I can just find that upper and lower of this. So if I find this, if I add that 0, I get 1,35. And if I subtract 1,25. And if I add, then I get 3,65. And I get 3,55. Okay. Now I just fill in. And then again, go to that page. It's very nice to show you. When it's, okay, I'm just going to just refresh your memory. When it's addition or multiplication, it almost works like it's supposed to work. To get the biggest answer, it's going to be upper plus or multiply upper. And to get the lowest, it's going to be lower plus or multiply lower. It's almost like it's supposed to work. But as soon as you come to subtraction and division, then it's to get the upper, you're going to say upper, you start with upper, but you do the opposite. You subtract the lower or you divide the lower. And the same, to get the lower, so know it like this, that you can refresh your memory. Then you start with lower and you know it's over cross. So you subtract the upper or you divide the upper. So keep that. But this is multiply, so this is nice. So I'm just going to say, to get the biggest, because I want the area. No, not the biggest. Underline the minimum. So the lower bound, they want the smallest. Then I'm going to go for the lower. Now, what is the base? So it's that 1.25. I just want to take another color. This 1.25. And then I'm going to take this lower also, 3.55. And then remember what I said to you. And I'm going to just control it on my calculator again because I know 0.5 multiply 1.25 multiply 3.55 and the full calculator display 2,21875. It's also an exact number, and usually we write exact. That means it stops on the calculator. But we do not approximate to three significant figures. And I want to take you to the report and see what the report is telling us there. Okay, let's just go there. Let's see. Yes, here it is. Okay. So what are they saying to me? The question tested candidates in measuration and limits of accuracy. Candidates should be taught that for such question on limits of accuracy, the word minimum and maximum are used for lower bounds and upper bounds respectively. Okay. That means if they say minimum, they want the lower. If they say maximum, they want the biggest upper. Candidates should also be taught never to round off. Now, I want to underline it. Candidates should also never to round their answers for limits of accuracy, but rather to refrain the full calculator display. Okay. Yes, the question was well answered. But candidates lose the accuracy mark by rounding their answers to 3. So if you wrote this answer, they subtract, then you only get 2 out of 3. So very, very important. Don't approximate that answer. Okay, so this is the bookshops. You can go and try to buy yourself a copy. And remember, you can always resell the copy afterwards. And then also this bookshops. And then I also show the teachers, especially for this time of the year, I always say, this is the time that we plan for next year. So all the books are on the NEET catalog. Okay, so you will find it there. And then I also want to end by showing that schools, and this is now also for schools that are doing their planning, if you want to order bulk orders, we give discounts, so you can then order directly or ask us for a quotation, and you can just send a mail to straightpop@gmail.com.